Pastors don't grow on trees. If you're in a church with a pastor, you may have forgotten this. If you're in a church without a pastor, you'll know this. The path to being a pastor isn't short either. In Bobby Jamieson's book, The Path to Being a Pastor, he observes at the outset, one of the main lessons is, it can take a while. So permit me to sketch the path to being a pastor in our context here in Ireland. The first step on the path to being a pastor is identifying gift. This is done in the local church. An optimistic estimate suggests that gifting in an individual can be identified in 1 or 2 years. But it likely takes a longer time than that to get to know someone, to learn to trust them, to give them opportunity in church, and then in that to discern their gifting. Step 2 is then talking to the college about options for formal theological study. In my experience, most students are talking to us for at least a year, usually a little bit more than that, before committing to apply to the college. Sometimes it's shorter, but not often. And so that means that there's therefore a period of 4 years investment by the local church and the college before a student even commences the preparation for ministry program. This is step 3, formal theological study, and the preparation for ministry program takes 3 years full time. Anyone who does any of their study on a part-time basis obviously takes a little bit longer to get through the course. Step 4 on the path to being a pastor is somewhat dependent on age, life experience and church experience. It's a 2-year ministry partnership scheme placement or stepping into an assistantship. This isn't necessary for all of our students. Some of them go on to pastor churches in their own right. But many deeply appreciate this opportunity to work alongside someone more experienced in their first ministry position. These normally last for 2 years, but many of them are extended for a 3rd year. Together, these 4 steps constitute the path to being a pastor in our context, which, if you've been doing the maths, is about a decade long. And so the question is, will your pastor still be your pastor in a decade? 10 years from now, will your pastor still be your pastor? Possibly, but possibly not. From an analysis of association records, an individual serves as a pastor in one particular church for an average of 8 years. If we say that your pastor is above average and will remain with you for another 10 years from this point, that means his replacement needs to begin the path to being a pastor today. So who should we be training? Who must be coming to the college to replace your pastor in 10 years? We need men of character. We need those who are godly in character, embodying the lists that we find in 1 Timothy chapter 3 and in Titus chapter 1. We need men of gifting, those who can preach and, more importantly, love God's people with a pastor's heart. Men gifted by God to be shepherds of God's people. We need men of competency, those with ability. We don't want men who have nothing else to do with their lives. We want those who can apply their skills in ministry. And we need men of calling, those led by God to serve His people, burdened by God with a deep devotion to lovingly pastor people. That's who we need training to replace our pastors in the years to come. Smaller student numbers on the preparation for ministry course is not primarily an Irish Baptist College issue. It's a church issue. It's an association issue. If this trend of smaller intakes continues, we will someday soon face a severe shortage of trained pastors. Like Jesus, we might one day look out and see sheep without a shepherd. Therefore, as Jesus Himself said, pray earnestly to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into His harvest.